autograph done here real quick?
What is up? Happy Friday night to everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. It is Sweet 16 weekend. My goodness, the butterflies are in the stomachs of our fishermen. They're out there pre-fishing. A lot of them were pre-fishing today. And guys, it's getting ready to get serious. It is getting ready to get on. And I'm telling you, it's going to be an exciting weekend. Only one day of fishing this week. It's just Saturday. All the guys that were fishing on Sunday are now fishing on Saturday. We're down to 16 anglers out of 64, and I'm telling you, it's getting real. The winners make money, the losers go home. It is cutthroat, and somebody's going to have to go home. 8 guys going home this weekend, and it is going to be awesome. So, welcome, guys, to KBBT. It's exciting. It's been a wonderful, wonderful event so far. It has been just amazing, and the guys that are left have gone through a gauntlet, just absolutely coming down to the last minute. We've had last-minute stringers come in. You have to get lucky. The opponent has to have bad weather. You have to have good weather. You're getting on fish. I mean, it's just insane. We've had some major upsets happen, and the final 16 here is going to make history. And, again, this is the first Sweet 16 of KBBT history, and the guys that are in it, they have to be just super pumped about it. And let's bring in our infamous panel. Guys, Mr. Todd Patrick and Marcus Coates, how are you guys this evening?
What's going on, everybody? Doing good. Just looking forward to the show.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a fun historical moment, guys, as I said. Marcus, you're part of it. I'm going to start with you real quick, man. Did you pre-fish today?
I did not. I went to work today. I had the option to pre-fish. My boss said, "Hey, do you want to go pre-fish, or you think you got?" I looked him square in the eye. Said, "I'm 100% confident. Jeff's going down." I'm out there to see.
Well, we're going to get into a little bit of that a little later, guys. We did a bunch of homework this week. Got to know our angles even a little bit better. But I'll be honest with you guys. The content has been crazy. It's been insane. I think we've wound up throwing over 24 hours of content on air, and just getting to know these anglers better. Man, I tell you, we're changing history, guys. We're changing the way kayak bass fishing is being done. And I'm going to be honest with you, not even the Pro Bass Series is doing what we're doing. I'm proud of it, and I'm sure you guys are too. And all these anglers are part of something very, very special. And I'm just telling you right now, copycat is the best flattery that you can ever have. And there's a lot of guys out there trying to copy what we're doing, but, man, we're just going to keep our head down and just keep on banging. Well, guys,
100% absolutely on that one.
Yeah. Guys, I say we get right into it, man. Why since wasting time and getting right into it, guys? We got one heck of a matchup coming up out of the top East bracket. You guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, what else can we start with but the biggest trash talk has been going on right now. The disrespect that has been going on in this matchup has been unbelievable. It is our friend Kayak Jesus Jake Suvak versus Conrad the Barbarian Benetti. The very first matchup we're going to see on the top bracket of the East. These guys, I mean, Jake is just silent. He's a silent assassin. He hasn't said a word all week. But Conrad has been putting the hammer to him. And I don't know, man. You know, let me tell you this right now. He's been talking about this and Jesus and everything else. The next thing you know, he busted out his left knee, man. I'm not saying karma, man, but you know what, dude? Karma is something else. And you can't mess with Kayak Jesus, man. And I don't know, man. I think Conrad actually goes down this week. But, guys, we got to know these anglers a little bit better. Marcus, let's start with you. How did Jake, how was Jake when you talked to him?
So I got to do a little Facebook interview with Jake here, and after hearing the guy's story, it just made me even more of a fan. He He lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's fishing out of his Vibe Shearwater. He's sponsored by Vibe. He works at the Nova Southeastern University as a strength and conditioning coach. His plans are to go back to Fellsmere. He feels extremely confident after figuring out the fish pattern he needed earlier this week. He does expect it to be an absolute grind solely to the fact him and Conrad both will have an ample opportunity to catch a double-digit fish on every single cast. But he's decided that he is going to stick his nose in the water, let the war be fought on the water and not on the keyboard.
That's good stuff. Well, Todd, you had the very interesting opportunity to talk to our man Conrad Benetti. What does this guy have to say to you? This has got to be interesting.
There's no lack of confidence when it comes to Conrad. He's absolutely. I asked him a question one-on-one, and I said, "Do you feel confident that you can win? And how confident do you feel going into your matchup?" His response to me, word for word, was, "I'm not going to lose, and I'll be shocked if I don't win the whole thing."
Wow.
I mean, Conrad is very confident. Some of the memes that he's put up this week are borderline crazy.
I'd say they're crazy.
But a confident angler is a dangerous angler on the water. When you go out there and you're confident in what you're doing and what you're throwing, that's one of the most dangerous things that you can run into. So he said he'd rather me not say where he's going to fish. He said Fellsmere is not out of the possibility, but he might go somewhere else. I tried to encourage him to beat his man on the same water, and he kind of liked the idea, but we'll see what happens. He said that he thinks it'll probably take about 102 inches to win on Saturday, and he's been fishing. Actually, Conrad's been kayak fishing for about 15 years, and he's actually fishing out of the Feel Free Lure 11.5. So I mean, he's just he's confident. Obviously, he said the technique that he's going to be throwing depends on the weather. Obviously. So look for Conrad to go out there, and he's obviously confident. So we're gonna have to see what happens, but it's gonna be a good matchup. If I actually had to pick, I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'll take my man Kayak Jesus Jake Suvak to win this one.
What do you think, Mark? Who do you pick in here?
I mean, there's two people with long hair left in this thing, and Suvak is the only one I'm going to pick to win it.
Well, as I said, I think Jake's going to upset Conrad, but Conrad's definitely not an underdog, but he's going to use this as motivation for sure, and he's going to come out full guns a-blazing. So I expect big numbers on the board early for these guys, and I'm telling you, it's going to be probably about maybe 5-inch difference between the two of them. But what a matchup! What a matchup these guys got going on.
If I'm not mistaken, last week they had the exact same total.
Yes, they did. It's
90 and a quarter.
That's right, exactly. So
it's. I mean, if they go to the same body of water, which I feel that if you're going to talk the smack that you talk, you're going to show up on the same water that I'm fishing, and you're going to outfish me on the same water.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll see what happens. They're on East Coast time, so the board should light up early. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting.
Well, Todd, me and you get to cover it, and we're looking forward to it. Guys, the next matchup we've got out of the southern portion of the East bracket. It is Joe Douglas versus Rodney Kennan from Louisiana. Kansas versus Louisiana. Boy, we got to know Joe Douglas last week. This guy is intense. He's a fighter, and he loves a challenge, and he has beaten the Southern guys down to death. Mark, you had an opportunity to talk to Joe. What did you find out, buddy?
Joe is the definition of the song "Eye of the Tiger." He's the definition. I mean, He got some advice about a lake near him that was been producing several 4 to 6 pound fish from a friend. He plans on placing his cards, against the great William Kennan on that lake. He told me he planned on using a wacky rig, which by far is one of my favorite go-to baits as far as catching bigger fish. So, I can't think of a better technique there. He's by far a finesse fisherman, which if anybody, really plays into it, I honestly think that the more you can finesse a wacky worm or a weightless bait, the better bite you're going to get out of it. He also let me know that he makes all of his own jigs that he uses. Sweet. He's going to be fishing bed. Go ahead.
I said, that's sweet. Good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's also going to be fishing bedding fish this weekend. He said he found some fish on some beds. He's got a solid buck to female ratio he's going to put into place. And, I would put him, well up there this week.
Yeah, he's a force to reckon with, man. As I said, I mean, he's making the best out of his situation. He's both. I think he's had inches in the low 80s and high 70s, but it doesn't matter at that point. Again, it's a completely different weather pattern right now. And guys, Joe's just been making the opportunity work for him, but he is going against a monster. Rodney Kennan has led every round so far, the 64 and 32 in inches during the Saturday seedings, and he has been putting on a show. He is on Toledo Bend. He's working a snake hatch bite. He's using the 10-inch Mondo worms, and he's been taking advantage of it. And he's only fishing for a couple hours a day, and absolutely has put on a show and catching monster bags consistently. Joe Douglas is going to have his hands full. Todd, talk about what Rodney had to say to you.
Actually, Rodney was one guy I couldn't get a hold of, but we can go off of what Rodney has done. He don't even need to say anything.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
His fishing has spoken for itself. It's been absolutely amazing. I think it was 95.5 inches last week, and 90 some odd inches the week before. So he knows what he's doing out there. We've had good interviews with him on the water. He's been through some, fished against some big competition. So this surely is not going to rattle him. He's going to go out there very confident on the water, and looking forward to seeing him put up in the 90s again. So this is a race to the mid to upper 90s in my opinion. And if I had to pick an angler, I'm definitely gonna have to go with Mr. William Rodney Kennan.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on there. As I said, why try to go against something that's working? Again, Rodney has consistently outfished Joe Douglas by, 15 to 20 inches each round. It's hard to go against Rodney unless something completely blows out over there. But, Joe's going to give it all he's got, I'm sure. But going against Rodney, I think he's a huge underdog. If I was to lay odds, I would say probably Rodney's probably a minus 160 favorite to go into this. Mark, what do you think, man?
Man, this one, I think this is actually going to be one of our tougher matchups of the whole weekend. I know that Kennan is a solid stick. I mean, how do you pick the guy that outfished Roland Martin? But at the same time, Joe's on bedding fish, and we've talked about that through the entire tournament. Once these northern states start getting the fish on beds, that's going to change the whole thing. I think that if Joe Douglas can get on the right beds, he's got this thing in the bag. However, if he can't and he can't find that right size, Kennan's going to go to town on it.
Yep.
100% agree. 100% agree. Guys, we have another great matchup here. We have Mr. Daniel Perry versus Doug Wilson. We've got Fellsmere area versus Gunnersville. This is the matchup I've been looking forward to all week. This is the matchup that both these guys have had great starts in the morning. Daniel Perry has lit up the leaderboard in the very first hour. Doug Wilson came out last week, put 21.75 inches on the board immediately. These are two competent, very good fishermen, and this is going to be a knockout, drag-out fight. I think this is probably going to be the closest matchup of the week. But Daniel Perry is jacked up. He is ready for this. He's been playing the underdog card all through the tournament. But let me tell you something now. He is not an underdog anymore. Daniel, I'm sorry you can't use that moniker anymore. But it's two heavyweights going at it. Daniel's a good guy. He's a family man, but I'm telling you, he's a silent assassin, and he has a podcast, a real good podcast called Paddle and Fin. He knows fishing. He knows Gunnersville, and I'm telling you, this is going to be close. This is going to be real close. Tell me what you can tell me about Daniel.
I reached out to Daniel actually, and he told me that he's going to be fishing a creek on Gunnersville. So he said that it's okay to give up that info. But obviously, he's gone out and put up early limits. Every single round so far, he's been an early leader. So he said he said, Doug's been slaying him so much he's not very confident. But he said that it's probably going to take about 96 plus inches to get by Doug. And he's been kayak fishing for about 3 years now, and he's thinking that the native watercraft Titan 12 that he's got is gonna be going all over the place on Gunnersville to try to get a big one. But he's just excited. Probably gonna be throwing lipless crankbait, Nico rig, and a swim jig is what he was letting me know. And he's just gonna go out there and give it his all. But he, wants to congratulate Doug for getting there, and he's looking forward to the matchup. So I'm looking forward to it myself, and looking forward to seeing what happens here.
I'm seeing his personal best bass was 21.75 inches. Guys, Doug put that up last week on his first fish. Wow. I mean, that's tough.
Why?
Talk about
Why
Doug.
you gotta do Perry like that, man? Why you gotta do Perry like that?
Hey, listen, I can talk to trash because I'm behind the microphone. I'm not the actual one who's fishing, but I'm just telling you that's what happened. That's just giving you facts. That's what I do. I bring facts to the table, fellas. Talk about Doug.
So Doug's going to be fishing Kenansville Lake, even though he has seen it have a lot of pressure this last week. He suspects to see a minimum of 60 bass boats in the area as well, but it's not swaying his confidence one bit. He says Mr. Perry is a fine angler, but if the bite holds up, he has his work cut out for him in a large way. If not, it's his for the taking. He thinks it's going to be a high 80s, mid 90s matchup between the two. He does feel like his Hobie PA-12 is a little heavy for the lake, but he's not comfortable in his smaller kayak for handling fish in a tournament environment. He's been kayaking for the last 8 years and is confident he has a shot to win the entire thing.
Nice. I can't disagree with anything you just said. I mean, guys, give me your predictions. Who's going to take this one between Daniel and Doug?
This has got to be one of the hardest ones to pick, in my opinion. I'm going to stay with Gunnersville stays hot. I'm going to say Kenansville gets that pressure. And I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Perry on Gunnersville.
Okay, Mark.
I think in this matchup, a lot of people out there have Daniel Perry considered as an underdog. I mean, a lot of people would pick almost anybody to be an underdog against Doug Wilson on his home waters. The thing about underdogs is they have more to fight for. So I'm going to go with Daniel Perry because I think he's going to come out swinging. But I think he's going to have to give it everything he's got for 10 solid hours to come close to Doug Wilson.
Well, I'm picking Doug Wilson. I think Daniel doesn't have 92, 93 inches this weekend. You're going to need every bit of that to compete. I think Doug's going to take it probably 93 and a half inches or so. I think Daniel Perry stays in the high 80s. And I hate to say it, man, but Daniel, I think you're going home this week. But prove me wrong, buddy. Prove me wrong. But you just never know. But, guys, we have a very exciting matchup coming up here on the south end of the bracket here. Mr. Mark Coates versus Jeff Isham. Wow. Mark, you did it, buddy. You are in the Sweet 16.
I got to interview myself. That was my favorite part about this whole thing.
You got to interview yourself. You do talk to yourself a lot.
For 30 minutes.
Hey, what's that behind you, man? Let me see what you got behind you there. Show everybody, show everybody what you got. Yeah, man.
That right there is my Sweet 16 trophy. I put it in the backdrop just so y'all could know that I was fishing this weekend.
Show Todd real quick. He hasn't seen this because he doesn't have one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you not have one of those, Todd?
Hey, you know what? After this is over, I'm coming down to Arkansas. We'll go head to head and we'll talk then.
Name the lake and the place. I'll come to Ohio if I got to.
Yeah, man. I hope everybody enjoys.
If I brought you to Ohio, it'd be the first guy it would be the battle of who could catch anything over a 14-inch fish.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I haven't caught one of those yet this season, so I wouldn't know what it looked like.
Guys, we sent out those Sweet 16 certificates for you guys. Just try to add a little bit of class to the event. It's something, again, we cherish, the achievement, and we hope you enjoyed that. I hope you guys got them all. But that's what we set out for you guys. But I'll tell you what. Let's start with Mr. Isham. Let's talk to Todd about Mr. Isham. Again, my pick to win it all. But let's hear what Jeff had to say.
I mean, we got to talk to Jeff really, really late on actually Friday morning. Jeff was out fishing Thursday late. When he got back home, got some service. We got to talking a little bit, and he says fishing's 80% mental. And that's true. If you listen to what Gerald Swindell always says, and people always have these wristbands, and this saying is PMA, and for those of you who don't know what PMA is, positive mental attitude, and that's something that Jeff Isham has on the water with him. He always tries to keep a positive mental attitude. He always thinks he can win. He goes out there confident every time that he gets on the water, and he gave me a quote from Henry Ford. It says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And that goes to show you Jeff's mental state. And Jeff, he's going to go on the water thinking that he can win. He's thinking that it's probably going to take somewhere in the 88-inch range to win this battle. And he thinks that it's going to be pretty windy this weekend. So he thinks you guys are going to be battling a bunch of wind. He said he's actually going to be on Lake Fairfield in Fairfield, Texas. I'm pretty sure that's where he was last week. And he actually had some compliments for Marcus. He said Marcus is a real friend and a stick. He said that's the part that's going to make this so fun, and why he tries to not rub it in after he wins, Marcus. So, he's coming for you. He's been fishing out of a kayak for about 5 years, and he's going to put that Hobie PA-14 to work. And, he thinks that the chatterbait and wacky worm bite for him is going to be on fire. And he said, bring it. He's ready to go.
Well, very good, Mark. Talk to us, man. What you got planned?
All right, so I sat down in a mirror for 30 minutes the other night so I could interview Mark Coates. And let me tell you something, he is an absolute character. I mean, the guy is just spot on. It's great. So we'll just go ahead and skip all the rest of that intro. Jeff is a great guy.
Let's get to the next matchup. We have
No, hold on. Wait a second. I'm not finished. Jeff is a great guy, man. I can't say enough about the character, about the person, definitely not about his fishing skills. We are great friends. It does make it fun. At the same time, I think it jumps the competition level to 5,000 because nobody wants to go to their best friend and say, thanks for beating me. I'm going to a new lake that I haven't fished in a while, but I got word up that there's a frog bite going on. I suck at frog fishing, but I went out and bought 6 different colors of frogs. I got my heavy rods ready. I'm swinging for the fences and going big or going home, and we're just going to have to find out at the end of the day what happens.
Absolutely. Man, I wish you the best. I hate to tell you this, man, but I have picked Isham. I can't go against my original pick. I wish the best for you, Mark. I hope you make it close, but, dude, I think Jeff takes you down, man. I'm sorry.
I like the matchup here, honestly, for you, Marcus. I think you pair very well versus Jeff. I think that your technique, if you go frog or go home, is going to be fun. For you, it's going to be a fun day of fishing. Obviously, throwing a frog all day if that is what you do. I would say you switch it up if your frog bite dies. But Marcus, I'm gonna give you a little bit more respect than maybe you even give yourself. And I think that you've got a good chance here versus Jeff. I really do, Marcus. I truly feel that deep down inside, and I'm gonna go with Marcus to take this one. I'm gonna go with the upset here. And Jeff, nothing against your brother, but I'm just gonna go with Marcus on this one and see if we can shake some things up going to the Elite Eight.
That would be amazing. Marcus, there's no sense in asking who you're picking.
No. Hold on a second. He got to pick. So here's the reason I'm picking myself. And if you haven't noticed, I haven't picked myself a single time this event, and I am very
except for the brackets where you put yourself to win it all.
Well, anyways, I would not pick myself to beat Jeff on a normal basis, but here's why I am. Jeff is going to have almost 20-mile-per-hour winds by noon.
That's tough.
Lake Fairfield, you're not able to get into the gate until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I get more time on the water. I have about a 10-mile-per-hour less wind tomorrow, and the wind is in the favor that I need it to be in. I've got weather and time conditions on my side. So if he does beat me, by the Lord, he fought for it.
You bet, man.
Yep.
You bet. Guys, we're going to the other side of the bracket. And the biggest surprise of them all, these two guys in the Sweet 16, I would have never, ever even thought. We've got Jonathan Pepin versus Thomas Gent out of Maine, Michigan versus Maine, and it's going to be unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, these guys are grunts. Jonathan Pepin's on a lot of fish. He showed some videos to us this week. He is catching some huge, huge fish. I just hope he didn't blow out his hole for this week. Thomas Gent is what I call a strategist. He's very consistent. He's got a huge fan base in Maine. But, man, he's got his hands full with Mr. Pepin. Tell us about Mr. Pepin.
So Jonathan is super pumped to be in the Sweet 16 finale. The dude is ecstatic. He's already gave himself a mullet this week. He's going into this thing full-on Joe Dirt style. He said, we're just going to dig. His confidence is growing higher and higher with each passing week. However, he does understand completely that he still has to get the fish to cooperate each weekend.
Yeah.
He says the water temps are rising, and he is hoping to find some new waters to extend his current game plan. He is extremely appreciative of the KBBT and its panel for giving him the opportunity and helping him stay sane with everything that is going on in the country right now. He's wishing Thomas Gent the best of luck and is looking forward to another knockdown slugfest on the water.
Absolutely, man. He's a class act, man, and a lot of people fell in love with him this tournament. And, he's with Six Skill Fishing Products, using those. He again, man, he's taught me, basically how to fish for smallies. I'm jealous of what he's done. The last week performance to me, I think, put him on another level. I think confidence-wise for his life, he can sit there and say, I beat Eric Siddiqui one-on-one. He fished in Mississippi area. In the South, I fished my home waters in Michigan, and I was able to take the victory by 1/4 of an inch. A victory nonetheless, and what a performance he's done. Thomas Gent fished against his buddy Jason Gardner, one-on-one, mano-a-mano on the same water, and he came out victorious. And you can't get any nicer guys than what we've got with Mr. Gent. Talk to us about Mr. Gent.
Like you said, a very humbled character, Thomas Gent. A very nice guy to talk to. Like I said, very humble. Kind of like a soft-spoken fella, actually. And he actually just got into kayak fishing since last year.
Wow.
He actually just talked to Jason Gardner and talked to him about everything. And Jason kind of got him on the right path onto getting into the sport. And so he's new to the sport. He's fishing out of a 2018 Hobie PA-14. So he's got good equipment out on the water, some top-notch equipment there with Hobie. And he's actually said he's going to be fishing a local pond by his house. It's called Center Pond. He said, go ahead and let the world know he doesn't have any secrets. He's just going to go out there and grind. He said it feels really good going in. He feels really good and confident with the lake he's fishing. He said he knows there's some really big bass in there. He thinks he can compete with John. He just gotta find them. So he's going to be throwing bladed jig, spinner baits, and then he said if he needs to go slow, he'll be throwing a Ned rig or a whacking worm. He thinks it's going to be a fun, exciting time. and he thinks it's going to take about 92 plus inches to win. So that's about right on par for what Jay Pep's been putting in, and I think that it's going to be a good matchup. Unfortunately for Thomas, I just think that Smalley bite is just. I think it's on fire till June up there.
Wow.
I really don't see John running out of anything in this bracket, and I really don't see him running in out of anything in May. So Siddiqui again is going to have his hands full in the May bracket against John. But I don't know how you pick against John Pepin right now. I really don't. Nothing against Thomas, but I think it's going to be a good matchup, and I got Jonathan Pepin winning this one.
As do I, guys. We have a little bit of background noise. I don't know what that might be, but we have a little bit of static. But yeah, it is. I think Pepin is a machine. I think Pepin comes out of the North and wins the North, and he's on to the Final Four. Pepin is just on fire. But I think Thomas could do some damage. But, with it being Maine, as I said, you can't get off to a slow start because Pepin is going to come out firing. I think Thomas is going to be trailing the entire day, and we'll just have to see if his bite picks up on the very end there. But I don't know. I think Pepin is going to win by at least 10 to 12 inches.
I will say this, food for thought. One of the questions I asked Thomas, what do you think it's going to take to win? Do you think that you can win it? And he mentioned to me that last week or a couple weeks ago, he went to the same place and put up 96 inches out of the exact same place that he's fishing.
Wow.
So if you can find those fish, 96 will beat Pepin, in my opinion. I don't know if Pepin can get over the mid-90s with Smallies. If you're on Lake St. Clair, I think you can get around the 100-inch mark. Up there, I'm not sure, but we'll see. But Thomas Gent said a couple weeks ago he put up 96, so don't count him out. And Thomas, I'm not counting you out. I think it's going to be a good one. I know Jonathan's just on him week after week, and you have as well. So we'll see what happens. But I got Jonathan.
Mark, who do you have?
Man, like Todd preaches about, and I do mean preaches, a confident angler is a dangerous angler. But one thing I will add to that is a confident angler that is catching 90 inches of smallmouth is a really dangerous angler. I'm going Pepin all the way to the finale.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous. I think Pepin does it. All right, we're going to go moving on to the bottom half of the North bracket here. We've got Matt Linsen-Men versus Patrick Tharp. Hootie Tharp. This is going to be an awesome matchup. A lot of fun. I think it's going to be pretty low totals between the two of them. I think, I think the first one to 85 inches wins. But I just found out today, Matt is on some fish. He hasn't produced 5 fish limit yet. He is on fish, guys. He's coming in very, very, very confident. And Patrick Tharp has got his work cut out for him. Talk to us about Matt Linsen-Men.
I just want to point it out that last week I was pronouncing his name right, and you told me it was wrong. So we'll go ahead and talk about Matt.
Batting .666 gets you in the Hall of Fame. So what can I say?
So in the left corner, you have the man with the beard, and in the right corner, you have the woman trying to cut it off.
That's right.
Matt was born in Marquette, Michigan, spending most of his years in the Lower Peninsula. He's 43 years old, married to a beard hater, and has 6 kids and 5 grandkids. He's a 14-year Air Force weapons veteran who is now pursuing the one thing that keeps his mind right since the very beginning, which is fishing. Nice. He plans on fishing another weekend in the UP. It's gave him exactly what is needed each week to advance, and plans to give it another go against Mr. Tharp.
Very good. I respect the heck out of Matt. As I said, I'm going to take a trip up to Michigan one day and fish with this guy. Maybe tag along, get Jonathan Pepin to come with us and have a blast. But this guy's been a lot of fun, and I enjoyed fishing against him. I'm rooting for him. I hope he makes it to the Elite Eight. Talk to us about Patrick Pooty Tharp.
I'm going to say something that might be shocking. Patrick Pooty Tharp shows up this weekend and becomes an instant favorite. to do damage and possibly move on to the end. Illinois, as you guys know, has been on like lockdown. There's a lake that just opened up, and it's a power plant lake, and it puts out some hogs. So I talked to Patrick, and he is super excited. He said he's not playing games no more. He said he don't got to stay at local little ponds by him house anymore. He said since I didn't take him out last week, he said he's confident that he can go out and beat anybody on these lakes that he's going to be fishing. So he's going to be fishing on St. Chris. It's a power plant lake in Illinois. He said it's okay to let everybody know. He thinks 90 inches will get him through to the next round. But he thinks that 97 will probably be the high for the week. So he's if St. Chris is open for him, and if Newton opens up, and he's got two places to pick from, instantly Patrick Prudy Tharp becomes instant player to win this whole thing. So I should have took him out when I had a chance last week. I couldn't do it. He survived, and his two big lakes are open now. So he said he's feeling pretty good. He said anything can happen. They've had a bunch of rain lately, but it's looking to be clear up until the weekend. He said that he can easily find 90+ inches on St. Chris. And I know that, it's basically, those are two of his home waters. He's been fishing out of a kayak for 5 or 6 years now. Fishes out of a Hobie PA-14. So he's going to be on a jig bite, he thinks, chatterbait, spinnerbait, different colors mixed up, and maybe the Stix XD is going to get some pulses as well. But Patrick Tharp is not going to be. He's not going to be the guy that just tweaks by anymore. With these lakes open and he finds these fish, guys, I'm going to take Patrick Prudy Tharp not to only win, but I'm going to say he's going to have the biggest margin of victory this week.
Wow. Well, I'm sure Matt is sitting down right now with his glass of whiskey and ice. He's sipping it right now. He's looking at the computer screen and he's saying, game on. So I am going with Mr. Matt Linsenman to defeat Patrick in an upset. Mark.
Here's my thing. I know a lot about power plant lakes and the fish that come out of them. And I know that a solid bite on a power plant lake can almost guarantee you close to 100 inches because the fish never quit growing. They eat year round. They're never lethargic as long as that power plant is on. However, Matt has been fishing the same water as Jonathan Pepin. He said he gave as much water as he could to Pepin last week for his battle against Siddiqui. He said he is not playing this round. Pepin better move over. He's coming in hot. I'm going to take the veteran supporting the U.S. forces, and I'm going to say that it's a close one, but he's going to win it with Smallies.
Wow, awesome! Another great matchup. Guys, we go down to the very top of the West bracket. We've got Derek Brundle versus Matt Frentress. This is a battle of the two nicest guys you'll ever meet. And I struggle because one of these guys is going to go home. And as I said, Matt, we got to know a little bit through, and he's been a hammer. He has absolutely, he's fishing out of Texas, and it's going to be Massachusetts versus Texas. And I don't know, man. This is a coin flip. You can't ask for a better matchup from two nicer guys. And it's going to kill me to kind of send one of these guys home because, as I said, these guys have been amazing. Derek, as you know, is a hammer. With all the fishing that he does. But man, I tell you, Derek has a wonderful story. You can talk about it and he can look it up, or you can look it up. He's got an amazing story. But tell us about Derek Brundle.
First of all, if any of you guys have never had the chance to have a conversation with Derek Brundle, have a conversation with him. He is probably he's just a great person to talk to in general. He's got an amazing story behind him. And the dude, it doesn't matter who you are on this planet, the dude's going to treat you like family with open arms. But I did have the privilege to interview one of my good buddies, Derek Brundle. He lives in Wareham, Massachusetts. He's been fishing for longer than most of us have been alive. But he's only been kayak fishing for the last 3 years.
Wow.
He's currently the tournament director for Nabassan Cape Cod Kayak Series and is a member of the New Canoe National Pro Staff team. Amongst other achievements, and his favorite ones ever have got to be being a father, a husband, a cancer survivor, and an avid outdoorsman. He will be fishing on Cape Cod this weekend. He understands he has his work cut out for him, but feels confident in putting up 90 inches, hoping it is enough to hold off the force coming from Texas with Matt Fentress.
Wow. I want to go into that. Todd, we talked about Derek's story. And if you don't mind, telling us a little bit more about Derek's story about being a cancer survivor. You become an instant fan when you hear this. He's gone through so much in his life. He's an overcomer. And he's just, it's an incredible story. Can you dig in a little bit deeper of what Mark just said?
Yeah, actually was able to hear the interview. Actually, if you guys want to look it up, it's an interview that Scott Buger did, interviewing the competitors of the 10, the KBF the 10. If you guys go back and you guys go into kayak bass fishing, or look up Scott Buger and ask him for the video. I'm sure he can send you the link. But just the story of Derek Brundle is absolutely amazing. It's a heartfelt story. It's something that's the tearjerker. And I've cried a couple different times over it, to be honest with you, just because to show the perseverance that someone has to make it through life when they're dealt crappy cards, and to overcome and to fight for not only for yourself but for your family, and to fight for what you love and for what you care about. And Derek Brundle represents all of those things. And ever since the story, and ever since I got to meet the guy at the kayak bass fishing, the 10 and the 10 Invitational this year, I fell in love with the guy, man. Fell in love with the story. And any sponsor out there that's looking for a guy to represent your company, Derek Brundle is hands down the guy. He is he's the face of New Canoe along with Cody Milton, in my opinion. And those guys just they're amazing guys. But talking about Derek here, I don't remember the whole exact story off the top of my head, but I think it was something to do with mouth or throat cancer. And he survived, and it wasn't good. It was a bad prognosis, and Derek made it through, and now he's fearless. He has a different outlook on life. I said it changed his life for the better, and became just an inspiration to a lot of people that hear the story with just how your outcome, the cards you're dealt in life, and you go through them, and you become a God-fearing man, and you just all these things, man. It's just a great story. You guys got to go back and listen to it. I wouldn't do it justice to tell it, but go back and look up that interview with Scott Bucher. But Derek Brundle, an amazing person.
Absolutely. Well, tell us about Matt Fentress.
All right, Matt. He, gave me a bunch of big answers. First of all, he wanted to congratulate Derek for making it this far. He is honored to fish against Derek this weekend. He knows the type of hammer that he is, and he knows he's got his work cut out for him. He's going to be going down somewhere, either Lake Fork, maybe Lake Athens, or Lake Fairfield. He's still was up in the air on where he might go. He said Derek's a great angler, and he knows that he's going to catch them. But he said he's also confident in his home areas, his home waters. It's just a matter if the fish are going to cooperate for him or not. He thinks it's going to take about 93 inches to probably get by Derek this week. So he thinks that if he can get to that mark, he thinks that he could advance. He's actually fishing out of a 2019 Hobie Outback, and he's a huge supporter, and wanted to give a shout out to Mariner Sales out of Dallas, Texas. So he wanted to make sure that got said. He's been kayak fishing for about 4 years now, and while he's been competing in Texas with some of the stiffest competition in the United States, he feels that any competition that comes his way, he feels pretty confident on the water to face them, and he's looking forward to the challenge. He's going to be probably doing a lot of sight fishing, he says. So he's gonna, the fish are at the tail end of the spawn down there, and the potential to get some deep, fish moving out deep off beds are going to be what he's looking for, and he's excited for the matchup.
It's going to be a tough, as I said, it's going to be a tough one between these guys. I don't know. This one's a toss-up to me. Texas bass right now, they're only going to get bigger and better. We had an 11-pound bass out of West Texas. It was incredible. Brian Pierce, that whole story, we showcased it last week. But Derek can catch some fish. This is a coin flip. I don't know. I think Matt actually takes down Derek Brundle. How about that, guys?
Stiff allegations. Man, I'll tell you my opinion on it. And they're both, I want to say first, they're both incredible people. They're both incredible hammers. This is almost as big as Brad Case and Josh Booth or Brad Case and Derek Brundle. Derek Brundle's had the hardest road out of anybody so far. He's hit 3 hammers in a row.
No question.
But what it comes down to is this, in my opinion. Derek Brundle gave us a 1-lake answer. Matt Frentress gave us a 3-lake answer and still has not finished a game plan. I kind of feel like on that end, Matt is rattled. Derek is confident. Confidence is danger. I'm going Derek.
Fair enough.
I just don't see Derek getting beat right now. I kind of have the confidence in Derek like I have in Pepin. So I'm going to be going with Derek Brundle to move on. The dude he flat knows how to fish. So if the fish are there, he's going to find them. Whether it be a jerkbait bite, spinnerbait bite, we've watched it. He's very multifaceted in what he throws out there in the water. And I got to go with Derek until somebody beats him. Congratulations if you beat him, Matt, but I've got to go with Derek.
Fair enough, guys. We go into our final matchup, and this is going to be fun. The principal, Marty Hughes, takes on Rolando Nandon from Texas. Good gracious. These guys, I'm telling you, Rolando just came out of nowhere. We didn't know who he was. I have no idea who Rolando was. He was actually a late entry. He replaced an angler that couldn't fish. And the guy who told me, his name is Preston Harris, told me this guy is a hammer. He's from San Antonio, Texas. But, man, the principal is on fish himself. He caught, I think he said 66 bass last week. It was basically picking and choosing from the litter. I mean, it is going to be awesome. This matchup is what literally fishing's made out of. You've got a young up-and-coming guy versus a very seasoned veteran with a bunch of sponsors. This up-and-coming guy, Rolando, can make a name for himself if he beats the principal. It is going to be so much fun to watch. Let's talk about Mr. Marty Hughes.
Well, guys, we call him the principal for a reason. I got a little backstory on Marty. Marty is a talker. He loves to share his story and what he's come from and things that he's done on the water, and he's got plans on where he's going. So a little bit about Marty. I've personally kind of met Marty at the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship last year, and it was an honor to kind of get to shake his hand and say hello, even though he probably didn't know who I was at the time. But Marty's he's got the respect of his peers. He's a kayak OG, kind of like with Chad Hoover. People kind of refer to him as one of the godfathers of kayak fishing, actually. But he's actually a principal at the local middle school and high school out in Nebraska. And he actually has got them kids out there into kayak fishing at his school.
Awesome.
So they actually host several events throughout the year, 4 or 5 tournaments a year. And that's really cool, that he can get that out there and kind of spread the sport. And he's into growing this sport in every possible way that he can, especially getting it into our youth. And that's really awesome. That's what we need to do is just continue to grow this sport because it's very contagious. We have a really good, tight-knit community here with kayak bass fishermen and fisherwomen, the anglers across the United States and the world. And we have Hobie Worlds for crying out loud. So, I mean, this is a worldwide, sport, kayak fishing. So, but he's a member of the Nebraska Kayak Anglers and KMO. Kayak Anglers of Missouri. He's a member of BASS and a lifetime member of KBF. He said he's really confident in winning the whole tournament, not just this matchup, because he feels that they're in the perfect time of the year for Nebraska bass to show out. He's caught 9. This is something, Rolando, you got to listen to, and everybody else out there. He's caught 9 master angler bass over 20 inches the last 4 weeks alone.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
You get certificates for that stuff. He's caught 9 of them in a month.
Wow!
So, he knows where they're at. He knows his home waters very, very well. He's very confident on the water. Like I said, a confident angler is dangerous. I will always say that. If that becomes my saying, then let it be. But a confident angler on the water is hard to beat. He's been in kayak fishing for 22 years. He's been actually referred to by many, not just a couple, but many people as the godfather in the Midwest for being a pioneer for the sport across the Midlands. And he also gets called Kayak Jack a lot. If I'm not mistaken, he runs Kayak Jack Outfitters out there in Nebraska as well. He'll be putting his Hobie Outback or Jackson Kilroy to use this week is going to be his arsenal. He's got all kinds of stuff here. He said the spawn just is about to begin, which is going to push big bass up on the shorelines in the weeds. He said so. He thinks the bass will be taking cover. He actually hit 103 inches on one of the spots this month in one outing. 103 inches in Nebraska in one outing.
That's insane.
I mean, anywhere in the United States, 103 in a day, you're going to win a tournament 9 times out of 10.
Oh,
so he said he's
one with 103.5.
Yeah, he said he's constantly over 90 all the time. So his confidence is high. But to Rolando, he wanted to say he gives you a lot of respect. And he said that you're putting up big numbers. And he says that you got some good waters to fish in Texas. He wanted to wish you the best of luck. And he's looking forward to this matchup between you guys. And this could be the matchup of all matchups this weekend. But we've got several on the board with Brundle and Prentice and some of these other guys. But there's going to be this is going to be a fun one to
I
watch.
talked to Marty, and he's always very appreciative of his sponsors, being Bass Pro Shops, Yak, was it Yak Year, Rail Blaza, and Bending Branches. So I wanted to make sure that his sponsors get out there because they are helping him doing what he's doing. But anyway, we're all about the anglers and trying to get to all their support out as much as possible as well. But Marty is an amazing angler, man, and mentor to a lot of anglers. Christine Fisher has a lot of great things to say and how she's looked up to Marty, and she's really been helped by and learned a lot from Marty. So anyway, he's an amazing man. Let's talk about Rolando from San Antonio, Texas.
Let's talk about Rolando, and I just want to say I have fallen in absolute love with both these guys' stories here.
Yeah,
I think the world of Marty Hughes, but at the same time, I think Rolando Nandon is the biggest competitor in this entire tournament, and I'm about to tell you why. He's battling each and every week. He still does not have his own kayak, so he's still in a Pelican.
Wow.
Take that into perspective. 2 round wins in a Pelican. He's
nice.
Is not using any of electronics. The dude says, I've got over $4,000 electronics sitting in my garage right now. So he's out there just grinding it out. No sonar, no nothing, just him, a rod, and a kayak. He's still putting up big limits each and every week. He's been fishing different locations throughout this week to stop the bombardment of jet skis and swimmers he's been hit with lately. Although he's not 100% sure where he's fishing just yet, he plans on going out and giving it everything he's got for 10 solid hours, hoping it's enough to take him to the next round.
Wow.
That's great, man. I mean, as I said, he's a competitor. I mean, hey, he's up for the challenge. Guys, I am going to take my pick, and I am going to go with Rolando Nandon. This guy has consistently, lowest he's had was 90.25. He put it 103, led the whole entire field in the very first round against 64 fishermen. He knows his waters. He knows his areas. He is playing the underdog role. He's a silent assassin. We don't know too much about this guy. It's kind of like 007, a little bit mysterious. But he has shown up on the board, and I think he takes down the principal, and he's moving on to the Elite Eight.
Who you got?
Again. Man, like I said, I have fallen in love with both these guys' stories, and I just think the world of both anglers. Both of them are two of the largest fan bases we have watched the broadcast on Sundays. I've gotten the privilege to broadcast both of them on Sunday, being the Sunday broadcaster. I think what this is going to come down to is corn-fed Nebraska bass versus Long River bass, as everybody's saying in the comments. How do you pick one or the other? You've either got giant tanks or you've got long Pringle tubes. I don't really know which way to go. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. I'm going to take Marty Hughes just because I think he's a little bit more grounded. I think he's got the approach down a little bit more. And unfortunately, with everything that's going on with Rolando's situation, Marty's got the better setup. I hope the world that it's a knockout drag-out, but my pick is going to go with Marty.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to have to second that. Actually, I just, Marty's very confident going into this fight or into this matchup, and I think the Nebraska bass, like he did say, they're going up to bed, and if he can pick the big ones off beds all day long, don't be surprised to see Marty in the hundreds. So we've seen him do it in the monthlies already. So I just. Another one of those guys I really just don't see how you pick against. But Nandon, you can put up 100 as well. So you go out there and show and prove me wrong. But I'm gonna have to stick with Marty on this one. I think it's just the safer pick. Maybe here I'm going with a safer pick. So I'll take the principal. I'll take Marty Hughes.
Well, guys, that is it for the Sweet 16 preview. My goodness, what a great day we're going to have tomorrow. Tune in with us at 9 o'clock. It is going to be a blast. It is going to be so much fun. I wish everybody the best. You guys need to stay safe. Marcus, give it all you got, buddy. Jeff is coming for you. We're rooting for you, man. Everybody make sure you keep your Skype cell phones on. We're going to be talking to all 16 anglers on the water tomorrow. Again, coverage is going to start around 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll be in and out of broadcasting through the day. Me and Todd are going to be covering live action on the water, give you a lot of content. If you're stuck in your home, we're excited about this. This is exciting. The nerves will be pumping, no doubt, at the dock. And it gets real once you start putting that paddle in the water to know that you're getting ready to go into the Elite Eight. And I wouldn't want it any other way. So I'm excited, guys. What's your final thoughts, real quick, and then we're gonna hang this up.
Man, I've got about as much chance of beating Jeff as the Bears have going to the Super Bowl next year. All I know is I'm gonna go out and give everything I've got.
Well, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So very good, man. Go Bears.
The Bears don't have a prayer to go to the Super Bowl. The Bengals got.
This is my anti Jonathan Pepin jersey. Those Green Bay Packer fans up there, it's killing me.
I'm wearing a Cowboys jersey on Sunday.
Oh my gosh!
But final thoughts from me. Going through and listening to these guys' stories. Awesome. Just a great final 16 field we have here. And just to remind everybody, tomorrow these guys are literally fishing for a check. So anybody that wins tomorrow, correct me if I'm wrong, the Elite Eight go home with a check.
That's right. They're guaranteed money. That's right.
So you're earning your way into the money right here tomorrow. So I think that adds even a little bit more pressure. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be some good content, and these personalities and these stories that we're able to share are everything that we want KBBT to be. We're out here talking about guys that some guys that you've heard of, some guys that you haven't heard of, and that's the real cool thing that we got going on here. So guys, just share the podcast or share the broadcast, share these interviews, share everything that we've got going on. We're looking to grow this for you guys. If it wasn't for the anglers across the United States, we wouldn't be anything. KBBT is just a platform for you to jump on, so your story can be told. So if you guys want it to be told, guys, don't be scared to fish with us. It's going to be a fun time. This thing is growing rapidly. We've had great content, great feedback, and we're just trying to get better for you guys, try to bring you guys better, more professional content. And we just appreciate everything that you guys do. Be safe out there on the water. And that's all I got to say.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Again, all the guys fishing tomorrow, we appreciate you. It's going to be a grind. Just keep going. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But tomorrow, it's going to be on. So tune in again, 9 o'clock Eastern. We hope you share it. Again, share the page. Invite your friends to the page. Again, we're changing kayak bass fishing for the good. We're reaching out to all platforms and anybody throughout the country who loves to kayak fish. We're here for you, and we're bringing something unique and something great. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Appreciate you. Wear your PFDs. Stay safe. Catch a bunch of fish tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.